Hey guys, welcome back to Lives Vivas week 7. Wow, we're flying through this year. Today's question is, how did Emperor Constantine impact Christianity? So there is a lot of really controversial opinions about Constantine, which is kind of surprising because normally you don't think of him as being a controversial person, but he really was. And even today, theologians and historians actually question the fact if he was truly a Christian. So there's really just like two beliefs about Constantine. One is that he was never a Christian and that he just kind of, wanted the church to have power, to have kind of like a unified religion. Or another is that he was super arrogant and super duper confident with his beliefs in his beliefs in Christianity. And so some even called him like the second Christ and said that he acted like the second Christ. A quote from Christianity Today said, "Bishop of Caesarea in Palestine, and perhaps Constantine is the greatest admirer." So he really admired this bishop of Caesarea, and so he kind of maybe wanted to pretend to be a Christian or whatever, just to get this guy's attention. So, though Constantine's legacy is extremely complicated, but it was dramatic and transformed in often contrary ways. So he really did change the church super dramatically. He created a syncretic society, which basically means that he fused the Roman culture within. He made a lot of financial that made the church powerful, but also brought in fake Christians and non-Christians into leadership, and he stomped out the heresies and the heretical branches, which is super important and is probably like a really great thing that he did do for Christianity. So my first point is that he created this syncretic society. So this basically means that he added a lot of Roman culture, traditions and stuff, and he really added those to the church, and then vice versa. He took some of the church's rituals and traditions and added them into the Roman culture. So he really tried to fuse these two together, and he really thought that the church and state should never be separated, but like always, combined and welded together. So he created the holiday of Easter, and he also, at the Council of Nicaea, shifted some of the because Christianity was founded, off of Judaism, and so he kind of shifted Christianity away from the Jewish culture, put it more into like the Roman context and the Roman culture. And another thing that he did was make Sunday the new Sabbath day. So it's, kind of like Paul, like how he took the patron and client relationship with Rome, and he put that really into the church and said this is, what the church be. He kind of did that in a more, dramatic sense, where he added holidays and he, tried to take the Judaism out of Christianity and put in Romans. And so it's just very interesting on how he did that. So he actually created this arch, and you can go to Rome and see it today. It's this beautiful arch, and he took down a bunch of other monuments and used a bunch of other monuments and kind of put them all together. And it conveyed the ideology and philosophy of other Golden Age emperors. And it had a great deal of pagan references, but it had no Christian imagery. And so it's just super interesting, where he kind of like showed that like, everything's like, the pagan religions is the same, even though I'm, going with Christianity. Like, he made this arch just saying like how the whole culture of Rome, like all religions are kind of going to heaven kind of thing. Like, he's like, the whole culture of Rome should be surrounded by religious ideas and, different religions, and which might, be a good thing, because it really made people think and like be aware of what kind of religions were out there. But at the same time, he was saying kind of like that they're all right, which is not true. So a really good quote from Paul Johnson is, "Did the empire surrender to Christianity, or did Christianity give itself to the empire?" And so really, again, he really made this like a wish-washy line of, state and church. And did Christianity fall into the Roman culture and just give up, or did it stand strong and the Roman culture kind of leaned more towards Christianity? So it's just a super interesting thing to think about. But whether either way, Constantine was a huge part of that, and he really tried to make them one. So my second point is that Constantine gave lots of financial policies and help to the church, which made non-Christians come into leadership because they wanted money and they wanted power. But it also strengthened the ministry work that the church was doing. And he also made the church tax exempt, which also really helped the church grow and be able to use the money that they had for ministry work, or just helping people. A story of this is that Constantine believed the church, should be connected to the state, as I have said before. And so in 312 to 320, he tolerated paganism. So he still had pagan gods on the coins. He kept the title Pontifex Maximus, which means the greatest priest. And so a lot of people said that he didn't really understand Christianity. And this is probably from a couple weeks ago, Arviva, we were talking about the Romans' view on Christianity, and Romans thought that Christians were really weird. And so he didn't really understand Christianity. So he probably thought it was really weird because he was a Roman, and so the Roman culture told them that Christianity was weird. So why did he choose to make Christianity a state religion? I do not know. That's a really good question, because Christians were really bizarre, weird people. So anyways, though, after 320, he kind of was tolerating all this paganism. And then from 320 to 330, he actually makes himself the head of the church. And he makes Christianity the official Roman cult. So it's just super interesting timeline where he goes from being yeah, Christianity is okay, to making it the state cult. What made him do that? Was he really a Christian? I don't know. So a quote from Dr. Parker is, "Many people were attached to the church because of the money and favored positions available to them from Constantine, rather than from pity." So again, a lot of these non-Christian Romans decided to join the church and become pastors and become, have leadership roles to just gain money and power and control. Because when the state and the church were non-separate, then the church had a lot of political power too. And so you have to think about that. And so that's why a lot of people really got into it, and we have this problem of fake Christianity. So my third and final point, though, which is really positive, is that Constantine was able to stomp out heretical branches. So, again, at the Council of Nicaea, there is this thing called Arianism, which is denying the deity of Christ. And so Constantine actually burned all of their writings and said that they were not Christians, and really kind of hated them. Another example of this is a bishop ordained this man named Dantus, and there was a lot of controversial because the bishops were thought to be traitors and corrupt. And so Constantine issued an edict against the Dantus followers, and he actually ordered them to be killed. And so super intense. So yeah, again, the doctrine of Arius was a huge one because it was supported by so many people, and they assembled at churches and to do communion and stuff. And Constantine actually made a law that told them if a heretical branch would pray or do anything in their own house, then it should be abolished. and the Catholic Church service, you would have to go to a Catholic Church service instead of going into like a heretical branch in somebody's house. Those were banned. And so it's super serious, and he really like stomped these out because he's like, no, you need one. It was interesting because I think Constantine really loved unity, you know? But after this, all of the heresies disappeared, and it was really great. A quote for this is, in his quest to solidify his control of the Roman Empire, Constantine pushed for the centralization of theological decision-making. So he really, pushed for this like unified church, and unified political and religious system. So that is how Constantine impacted the church. We're out of time for today, but tune in next time to Lives Vivas.